Hello, I'm Harvey Harkeen, and this is Harking Back, a podcast about the pop culture of a lifetime. Whose life? Mine. I'm going back through every year I've been alive and finding out what was going on in that year. This year, we're looking at 2007. In 2007, I'd quit my job, so I'd been out of my job for a year. I was trying to full-time perform, and I was really trying to do all sorts of gigs, like any sort of gigs, like improv shows, comedy shows. Corporates were like the things I really wanted because they paid more, but they were much harder work, and sometimes they were a bit shit. Meet and greets as characters, not as me. No one wanted to meet me. A lot of character kind of, what do they call it? Like, it was a meet and greet type of corporate gig where someone would be having a theme for a party, right? And they'd want like dressed up people, like, we want paparazzi actors, or like security actors, or like pirates, or whatever your theme is, or Victorian waiter kind of or royalty characters, anything. That was the kind of thing. So you'd kind of like have a funny line as people come in. You had to have like about a 10-second interaction with people. Children's shows. I was doing children's shows a lot. My God, those are hard work. I talked about in the last podcast about why they are such hard work, children's shows, but they were steady work when you got them. So you got about maybe a month's worth of work, which is great. Bloody hell, I even did statue work for a little bit. We got a brief in that this company wanted some statues, and me and my friend Dan, we put our hands up for it, and we thought, all right, what we'll do is we'll have a little practice to see how we go and try out different poses. And if you've ever tried to hold a pose with your arms raised in any sort of capacity for more than 2 minutes, we did that. We ended up just going like, okay, arms by sides. That's pretty good statue. Arms by sides. We did this statue work a lot. They ended up using us about 5 times. And I think we got to the point where we could just stand there completely motionless for up to an hour, I think was our longest stint. Anyway, so yeah, I was a statue for a bit. I even did some character spots on kids' TV. There was a TV show on Saturday mornings called What Now, for kids. And they were doing a parody kind of series on there called New Zealand's Next Top Model, because, America's Next Top Model was all the big rage. And I was a judge on there, but I was a woman judge. So I was I trans, or was I transvestite, or was I just playing a woman? It was never quite clear what I was playing. Anyway, I had to wear high heels one day for a filming of something, and my God, it felt like my feet were going to explode in my shoes after wearing them for about 5 minutes. So hats off to anyone that can walk around in high heels. Men or women, I don't care. Like, well done to you if you can do it. I'm doing lots of improv shows. This is probably my favorite thing. We're doing this show called Scared Scriptless with the improv troupe at the theatre that I'm working at. And we were doing well, and the theatre's doing well. And I remember we had a night where the theatre was going to have a bit of a gala night, because the Prime Minister at the time, Helen Clark, was going to come to have a little tour of the theatre. So everything's clean, spick and span. She's going to get a little excerpt from the 2 plays that are playing in there. And they're also going to do a quick little 10-minute improv performance. And I'm chosen as one of the improvisers for that. I'm like, why would you have improv for a high-profile guest? You know the nature of improv. It is the one thing that you literally cannot script in this otherwise, very, all hands on deck visit from the Prime Minister. She's going to have security and everything. Anyway, we're in the wings. I remember this. We're in the wings about to go on to do our improv piece for the Prime Minister, and the artistic director of the theatre at that moment comes up and sees us, and he goes, "Hey guys, just go out there, just do your thing. You know what you're doing. Have fun, relax. This is just another improv show, okay? No problem." He says that, and we all go, "Yep, yep, yep." And then he leans in very closely and just says, "We're not at home to Mr. Cock-Up, are we?" And we were like, "No, we're not." And he goes, Good, have fun." I just remember that. Oh, that came out of nowhere. Let's look at things that are happening in 2007. What are you doing in 2007? Let me paint you a picture. Let me take you back. In 2007, things like Von Dutch is a thing. Remember that? The fashion trend, the fashion brand Von Dutch is around then and never to be seen again. The third Twilight book is being released, so people are arguing over werewolves or vampires are sexier. And The Big Bang Theory debuts on TV, making nerds across the world laugh unnecessarily louder than anyone else in the room just so they can show that they got the joke. The big thing that happens in 2007, or one of the big things in terms of pop culture or technology, is Apple launches their first iPhone. I remember this coming out and the whole... First of all, we heard about it coming out because you couldn't get them in New Zealand, but we had a friend who managed to get one. And I remember we just stood there for ages doing the whole switch from portrait to landscape as you twisted the phone in your hand. That's the thing we could not get over. And then the whole using your fingers to zoom in, like pinching and expanding. You don't understand. We've never seen anything like this before. We were like, a phone with no buttons? What the fuck is this? It was blowing our minds. And again, it was one of those things where it seemed so natural, but we just were like, this technology is years away, surely. This is how alien it all was for everyone at the time, to have a phone with no buttons and the whole iPhone layout screen with the apps on it, that everyone knows now. This was just so alien to everyone. There was a scene around the time at in one of the Sex and the City, I think it was the movie, or I don't know. Annie was watching it. Not me, guys. I would have watched Sex and the City. I mean, I wish I kind of got into it. I think there's a lot of pop culture references that I would have enjoyed in there, but I always found Sarah Jessica Parker just a bit whiny and annoying. Anyway, there's a scene in Sex and the City where Sarah Jessica Carrie needs to desperately make a call, and she's like, she doesn't have a phone with her, and she goes, quick, someone, I need to make a phone call right now. And one of her friends hands her an iPhone, and she just kind of looks at it in her hand, and the camera zooms in on the display on it. Great marketing for Apple. And Carrie just looks at it and just hands it back and goes, does anyone else have a phone? I don't know how to fucking work this. I used to have an iPhone. I had an iPhone 4. I got in there way back at the 4. I used to be Apple. I used to have a MacBook Pro as well. I was in. But I left. I left Apple. I just want everyone out there that, if you're thinking about getting out of a relationship where you feel trapped and everything in your life seems to revolve around this person/brand, I left, and you can too if you want to. All right. I was in. I had the phone and the MacBook, and I left when they took the audio jack out of the phone, and I knew they were going to make it that you could only listen to the phone with their pods. They were going to bring it out. By the way, apparently you can listen to iPhones with any Bluetooth speakers, but they don't make it easy. They really don't make it easy. And Apple people love the fact that Apple is easy. And the thing is, when you are deep with Apple, you don't realize you're in the bubble because everything works. Your watch connects to your phone, connects to your MacBook, connects to your everything, right? As long as every device you're using is Apple, you'll be happy. I mean, you'll be poor, but you'll be happy because it's all in there. It's when you change one thing and you start realizing that, Apple and other products don't mix. They don't like mixing. What did I need to do? I needed to replace my MacBook, and I was just looking at new MacBooks. I was like, there is no way. That was so expensive. And I looked at refurbished, I looked at secondhand. It was so expensive, so I just went back to PC. I bought a laptop. And I am so happy. I made the change to go backwards. To go backwards. Was that a Floridian slip? I used to be PC. I went Apple. I'm back. I'm very happy. And a lot more well off financially. What I'm saying is you can leave the cult. What else in 2007? Tumblr launches. Remember this? Tumblr, this micro-blogging site it was? Before OnlyFans, this was the place where people came for custom porn. Until I think someone bought it, Google or Microsoft bought it, and then they removed that feature, and everyone went, I don't like this so much anymore. Basically it was it was a lot of things. It was, a social media site, obviously, but they didn't, I didn't know this until I was researching it, that they didn't ban porn on there. So people would be like, hey, it was OnlyFans before OnlyFans, but minus the money and making young, sexy people incredibly rich very quickly. Furries love it, do they? I don't know, am I just getting that impression? Furries, because technically it's not porn if you're in a giant furry costume. By the way, if you're interested in furries, or a story about furries. There is a great video on YouTube by Internet Historian about DashCon, which was the Tumblr conference sort of thing, and it was taken over by furries, and the hotel banned them. Let's just say that. Go watch it. Go check it out. It's well worth your time. In 2007, Google launches Google Street View. How ambitious is this? What kind of big dick swing energy is this to just have someone go, you know what? I just want to look down any street in the world, essentially, on my computer. And they fucking did it. They fucking did it. Is it not just mind-numbingly crazy that anyone could tell you their address or look any street and you could go see what it looks like for real? For realsies. They drove cars around with cameras around the fucking world and they did it. I mean, if that's Google. If you were ever like Google's the one company where if anyone had a conspiracy theory about Google, I don't care what it is, I'd probably go, yeah, I think they could do it. Is anything more crazy than that? Does that not sound like a conspiracy theory in itself? If it was not a product or service that they were launching, don't you think it would have sounded like a conspiracy theory, like some guy in a bar going, you know, they've got all our streets. They've got them on file, you know, not just in the directory. They've got pictures that they can go in. The government, man, can go anywhere they want right now and get a view of your house, man. And you'd be like, whatever, as if they could do that. It's serious, man. It is conspiracy level shit. Yeah, Google. I believe they could pretty much pull anything off. By the way, I was in my local shop the other day. Lovely Algerian butchers / corner shop. They do amazing meat. Anyway, a guy from Google walks in and he says, by the way, we are now doing, we're extending Google Street View into Google Shop View. So we're also filming inside people's shops. If you want to be a part of that, we can come and film the inside of your shop. What do you think? The guy was serving some people, so he said, I can't deal with this right now, but come back. But that's what Google are doing next. They're going to not just walk down the street, but walk into a shop. Go check it out. Go have a look and see inside the shop if you want to. They're doing it. My God. It blows the mind. Blows the mind. We are living in the future. We don't even know it. We're wasting all our time on dances. Anyway, also in 2007, Microsoft launches Windows Vista. I didn't have it. This was the bad one, apparently. I stuck with XP. Everyone hated Vista because of the security features on it. It had a much higher system requirement than XP. Compatibility issues with a lot of software and hardware didn't work, so it crashed a lot. But isn't this just kind of like... This is why people seem to hate Vista, but isn't that with any operating system? Like, you know, you need higher... any evolution of operating systems. Like, I'm sure a lot of people didn't like XP when that came out. They were like, no, it's Windows 2000 through and through. And the Windows 2000 people were defending it against the Windows 95 and 98 people. You know what I mean? I think with that respect, PC users are different to PlayStation fans. Like, everyone wants a new gaming console. No one wants a new Windows update. Every few weeks, I'm on Windows 10. Every few weeks, my PC goes, hey, do you want Windows 11? And I'm like, no, I'm good. Stop it. Go away. Yeah, and all the people that I've just like bagging out about Apple are sitting there pretty going, also in 2007, St. Pancras Station opens in London. King's Cross is right next to St. Pancras. And King's Cross is famous because it's got the Harry Potter 9 3/4 platform that everyone always lines up to take pictures of. I think St. Pancras should have a similar monument. Like when a train pulls in, it's got like I don't know, something else from a movie with a train. Like it's got like a Tobey Maguire Spider-Man statue at the end, so it looks like he's stopping it at the end as the train pulls in. I think that'd be great. It's opened, St. Pancras Station is opened by Queen Elizabeth II, who also this year becomes the oldest ever UK monarch in history at 81. At 81. And you know what? She still had 15 years left in her. Like, you know when you see a record and someone's trying to break a record and like you think if they just get past it, then they'll stop, but they just keep going and smash it? That's what Queen Elizabeth II did. All right, let's look at what songs were going on and what's going on with songs in 2007 in music. Oh, I found this out in 2007. Enya the artist behind things like Orinoco Flow and Only Time. You know that who can say only time, that one, receives an honorary doctorate from the National University of Ireland in Galway. So now that's Dr. Enya to you. The thing about Enya is, I first heard about Enya from my sister, but the great thing about Enya is take the song Only Time. If you want to make any video poignant, I don't care what you're doing on it, catching a frisbee, making a cup of tea, falling over on your face, whatevs, play it in slow motion and put Only Time over it. And now you've got yourself a work of art. You're welcome. Big songs this year are things like Hey There Delilah by the Plain White T's. You know, Hey There Delilah. Again, it's this kind of soft, rocky, folksy, twang, kind of poppy song. You know, this new genre that seems to have popped up in the last 5 years. It's that very kind of like, hey, I'm cool, whatever, you know, I'm not, you know, I'm fine, but I wrote a song about it at the same time, you know. Ugh. Whatever, it's catchy. Oh, 2 guilty pleasure songs of mine come out this year, and yes, you will probably stop listening to this podcast as soon as I tell you what they are. One is Girlfriend by Avril Lavigne. I think it's a banging tune. It's catchy. I like singing along to it. I bop along even. Yeah, I'm a 40-year-old man who bops along to it sometimes. Deal. And also Rockstar by Nickelback. It's a fucking banger and you know it. All right? Take your prejudices away from what you've heard about Nickelback. Listen to Rockstar. Tell me you don't like it. It's also, I think, I got backing vocals by Sam Elliott. Oh, there's a great moment in that song where he's like, because he's talking about all these things he's going to do to be a rock star. And he's like, I'm going to get my meals for free. And Sam Elliott comes in and goes, I'll have the quesadilla. Great backing vocals. Rehab by Amy Winehouse is a big hit this year. This always troubles me about Amy Winehouse. Like, I mean, I know she was an incredibly talented and tragic figure because she died at 27 and joined the 27 Club. She wrote this song, and it goes, they tried to make me go to rehab, but I won't go, whoa, whoa. But I said no, whoa. And then she died of alcohol poisoning. Just saying, maybe you should have gone to rehab, right? Maybe your rehab stint wouldn't have been as classic as this song, but, you know, it's a little on the nose. It seems like a cry for help. Surely, right? It would be like as if Kurt Cobain wrote a song going like, they tried to make me stop playing with shotguns, and I said no. Is that too dark? Sorry, I'm just feeling it. Right, let's look at the top 5 songs. Yes, I know, I'm getting cancelled for that last bit. Top 5 songs of 2007. Wow, I went through this top 5. I know not a lot of these songs, or I had to be reminded of what they were, and I vaguely remembered them. Like, for instance, at number 5, who remembers Buy You a Drank? And yes, it's all spelt terribly. This whole trope of R&B stars refusing to spell things properly, like, it's done at this point. You know, when it starts becoming like a convoluted way to do it, rather than just like, oh, this is how we say this one word, it's a little overdone. Okay, Buy You a Drank by T-Pain, feat. Young Jock. What the fuck am I even reading here? Like, that whole sentence, Buy You a Drunk by T-Pain, feat. Young Jock. There's 2 words that are spelled properly in that 9-word sentence. Anyway, I never knew about the song, but apparently, I don't know if it's trying to be like a kind of slow dance hit or like a sincere love song, because it's aimed at both, and it's fallen right in the middle of both of them, not making anything that's classic at all. Anyway, I don't think Buy You a Drank by T-Pain feat. Young Jock is going to be on anyone's classics list. Number 4, Big Girls Don't Cry by Fergie. You're right, Fergie. Big Girls Don't Cry in 2007. They cry a lot in every other time of history. And big boys too. Number 3, The Sweet Escape by Gwen Stefani feat. Akon. This is the one that where Gwen Stefani's like... and Akon's just there going, ooh, you, ooh. Like, this is a sweet gig for Akon, because that's all he does in this. He does not deviate from ooh, ooh, just that. That's all he does. Like, he doesn't even do a rappy bit. Normally, when you get like these kind of artists that feat, and a song, they do a rappy bit. Come on, that's what happens. You do some hyping, and then you do a rappy bit. But you said, Akon, do you want to do some rappy bit in this? He went, no, ooh. Anyway, sweet gig for Akon. He's everywhere this year. He had a lot of hits. And maybe he was just too tired. He was like, I can feed on this, but all I can give you is, ooh, are we good? And then we went, okay, right. Number 2, Umbrella, which is, I think, the best song in this top 5, by Rihanna, feat. Jay-Z. He did a rappy bit. Then he did a rapey bit. No! What did I say there? He's not popular now. Oh, Jay-Z. Oh my God. I did a video on socials about my predictions for 2025. And one of them, I think Diddy is going to throw everyone under the bus. As well he should. I think like all sorts of people are going to come out of the woodwork having been at these Diddy parties. And Jay-Z was there. And Jay-Z, you're going away for a J long time, I hope. That was not a pun even. Anyway, back to the song Umbrella. Well done, Umbrella. I don't think there's been any other hit songs about wet weather accessories. I mean, you think Oasis surely should have done a rock ballad about cagoules by now. By the way, cagoule is the British name for a parka, and they're worn widely throughout Manchester, where Oasis is from. So that's why I said that. Fair play to Rihanna, though. Do you know why there aren't any other songs about umbrellas? Because the word is really hard to put into a song and make work. Right? Umbrella, and she went, no, we got it. We'll make it fit. Kind of. And it just does work. I can't think of any other song lyric with umbrella in it. Let me know if you've got one. And at number 1 in 2007 is Irreplaceable by Beyonce. It's the one which is singing, to the left, everything you own in a box to the left. I didn't really know this song. I mean, I recognize it, but the lyrics are, so she's breaking up with a guy and she's like kicking him out of her house and she's getting him to take all this stuff away. And she goes, I can have another one of you in a minute. In fact, he'll be along in a minute. I can have another one of you by tomorrow. Maybe slow down, Beyonce, because it sounds like this has been a pretty big relationship. If it was serious enough for him to move in, because he did, because you're kicking all the stuff out, telling him to put all his stuff in a box to the left, just take some Beyonce time, you know? You don't need to rush into another relationship. Those are the top 5. By the way, T-Pain and Akon, both mentioned in this top 5, both had a lot of songs in the charts in 2007, and both featured, if you don't know what feat is, featured in a lot of songs. And they're both in the top 5. And also, to top it all off, T-Pain did a song this year called Bartender that featured Akon. Both those boys very busy this year. All right, let's have a look at what's happening in games this year. A lot of notable titles that you'll remember that come out this year. God of War 2 on the PlayStation 2. Halo 3 for the Xbox. So they've got like their big hits. Things like Bioshock is hitting on all platforms. Assassin's Creed 1 comes out. Remember Assassin's Creed 1? I only played the first one. It was very repetitive. But Assassin's Creed 1 comes out in 2007. Half-Life 2 comes out. Mass Effect comes out, which is a very beloved game. I played it. I loved it. I really loved Mass Effect. But one weird thing happened was I didn't actually finish it. I was loving it, playing it, and I was on the final mission. And I've never had this in the game before, but I just stopped playing. All of a sudden, it was as if like a spell had worn off. Like all of a sudden, in the middle of the final mission, I just went, I don't care about this game anymore. And I stopped playing, and I never went back and finished it. And I never felt bad about that at all. It was very weird. I've never had that with any other game. But I know that this is a very, very well-loved game. And I'm wondering if I should go back and finish it. I don't know. Like I said, it was very bizarre. It would be like watching a movie and you're in the last, at the climax of the movie, you just go, and you've been enjoying it and just go, stop it now, turn off, bye. And never come back and finish it. It was really weird. Crysis comes out in 2007. Crysis is a game that is famous for being the benchmark for an unobtainable system performance. Like this game came out, and when it came out, I don't think there was a PC in the world that could actually run it to its full potential. Like, you know, like the water effects and like the leaf and plant effects. It was a game set on an island and just no computer could run it. And that's been like the joke to this day of like when a computer, someone's showing off their new computer and people will be like, yeah, but can it run Crysis? Yeah, I thought not. Rock Band comes out this year, which is very huge. And Rock Band is the culmination of all these these rhythm games that were crazy popular at the time, starting with Guitar Hero that came out in 2005. Do you remember these? Like, these games were so addictive and fun that to the point that Guitar Hero remains to be the only video game I've ever seen my sister play as an adult. I mean, we used to, in our youth, we used to fight over playing Tetris and Frogger on the computer. But like as an adult, I've never seen her play any video game, let alone enjoy one. And she loved Guitar Hero. Do you remember you'd get these plastic instruments that had buttons on them, and like, you know, the guitars and drums and microphones, and Rock Band was the height of this fad. And then, a bit like my lack of interest for Mass Effect, mysteriously it all just went away one day. Like, it was so popular. Like, even casual gamers, you would go around to their house and you would probably see, like, it wasn't a surprise to see, like, the plastic instruments in the corner of someone's lounge, and everyone just knew what it was. It was really ubiquitous, and it just mysteriously went away. Never to be seen again, apart from maybe finding the dusty plastic instrument in your storage these days. And it's funny, almost 20 years after the hysteria, there hasn't been any resurgence or anything similar for something so successful. It's almost eerie how final and abrupt its departure was. It was like in like, you know, in horror movies when they like the characters will stumble across a place that's been like abandoned quickly, and they just always say like, "Look at this, they didn't even pack. Everyone just had to leave all of a sudden. What happened?" It was like that, but with gaming. Anyway, Rock Band, you were fun. You were fun. Everyone remembers one time you went around to someone's house and you all had some drinks and you threw on Guitar Hero or Rock Band or whatever. And it was really, really fun. And then it never happened again, ever, ever. And if someone invited you around right now being like, "Hey, do you want to come play some Rock Band?" You'd be like, "Oh, piss off." I don't know why. The game of the year for 2007 for me has to be Portal. It's made by Valve, the people behind Counter-Strike and Steam, the gaming platform. It's a first-person puzzler. Not first-person shooter, first-person puzzle. And if you haven't played it, you have to escape a test facility using a gun that creates portals that you walk through to solve puzzles and get out of this facility. And it's so... It comes out of left field because 2007 is a time where violent games are winning, apart from Rock Band. But, you know, like, it's all blood and gore and bullets and guns. Like, this is a decade before the kind of cutesy indie movement of games like Stardew Valley, and other games where people just want to like tend to virtual crops and stuff like that. This is a time where blood effects and the level of gore in a game are selling points for video games. Right? Like, publishers will be out there, you know, with their fingers in that teepee thing going, "We've really pushed the level of of blood physics in this game. The blood splatters in this game. We've had a team of 100 working on this." So this is a time where that is selling. And to bring out a puzzle game at this time, to put all your resources into a puzzle game, is bizarre. And the game itself, like, it's really innovative. Like, the concept of self-controlled teleportation, where you can create portals to navigate a 3D environment, was not only new, it was something you just couldn't really grasp until you played it. And once you wrapped your head around it, and when you realize oh shit, this is the potential of it. You felt like Neo being waking up from the Matrix. Especially once you started messing with the physics of portals, like if I put one on the floor, I can jump through it. It gives me more momentum if I'd come out of a wall or through the ceiling. It was nuts. This game was innovation personified. I mean, and it was so well pitched, because the secret to a good puzzle game, the test of a good puzzle game is the challenge versus payoff. And it's so hard to get that right because, you know, typically speaking, the more challenging, the better the payoff. But it's really easy to undershoot that and make it far too easy, and that makes it boring. Or if you make it too hard, you make it incredibly frustrating and no one's going to want to play it. And on top of all this, like, it's an amazing game. I would wager it's one of the funniest games. It is the funniest game to have come out in 2007. Hell, maybe even that decade. I laughed out loud several times playing this game. And not a lot of times, like, out from the humor the game gave you, not from like watching one of your friends get nailed in a multiplayer game. It's very funny. It's very well written. And if you haven't played it, it's a short game, which some people knock it for. I think it was a perfect length game. You can knock it out in a couple of days, and it's well worth your time. So that was my game of the year for 2007. Let's have a look at what's happening in movies. in 2007. The movies, let me paint you a picture. Things like Ratatouille are coming out. I Am Legend, which I quite enjoyed, apart from the awful CG. The Simpsons movie comes out in 2007. Long awaited, well received, immediately forgotten. Long live the early seasons of The Simpsons. 300, the movie about the Spartans, where a bunch of Arabs take on the Persians, came out in 2007. I really enjoyed this movie. I really did. And I think it's Zack Snyder's best film because he stuck to the comic. He didn't deviate. It's his best because he didn't have a lot of creative freedom. I honestly think Zack Snyder works best when he's given, like, on rails. Like, Watchmen has the same thing. Like, he stays very true to the comic. And I'm always really surprised when people don't, if they're making a movie based on a comic, when they don't stay true to the comic or they don't use the comic. Because the thing is, when you make a movie, you need to have storyboards first, right? Like, what's each shot going to look like and what's going to say there? A comic is a storyboard. So if you're doing a movie based on a comic, the fans of the comics are probably going to want to see it. And if you stay true to the comic, they're probably going to love it more, which is what Zack Snyder did with 300. And if you're the kind of director that gets given a comic book movie and you don't use the comic and you go, well, we wanted to do our own thing, then do your own thing some other fucking place, because this is a comic and it's there. It's been done for you. Stop. You're thinking too much, you know? Sorry, can you tell I've got a sticking point about this? Comic movies should stick to them. That's a fucking storyboard. Anyway, also in 2007, Beowulf comes out. This was an interesting experiment where they tried to do, like, they were like, oh, we're going to make it computer generated, but you're not even going to be able to tell that they're not real people. You could tell. And if you wanted to see someone jumping the gun of what fully computer generated, quote unquote, live action movie, a movie could be by about 5 years or 10 years, check out this. It lives entirely in the uncanny valley. For, like, when the monster comes out, it's in Beowulf, it is the least disturbing thing in this movie. But good on them for trying, and I know a lot of people worked very hard on it. But, you know what? Beowulf walked so other live-action computer-generated films could run. Hold on, didn't this come out after Final Fantasy, the computer-generated one? That was a very animated aesthetic. These guys were going for live-action look. Anyway, trying to flog the... by the way, this is 2007, so... we're a year away before the MCU starts with Iron Man. So some people are still trying to slap the superhero franchise to try and squeeze some money out of it. And one of those people is Nick Cage, because they make a Ghost Rider movie starring Nick Cage. And Nick Cage, you hire Nick Cage, you get Nicolas Cage. And he goes full Nicolas Cage in this movie. God bless him. You know, I'll tell you one thing about Nicolas Cage. He gets a lot of shtick. He gives 110, whether the director is asking him for that or not. You know? Seriously, does he ever say... There's a great sketch about Nicolas Cage's agent on YouTube about him just never saying no to a movie script or pitch. Like, I used to have a stand-up bit about Nicolas Cage, like, just he doesn't actually go home after a movie. He just hangs around the studio a lot and wanders around until he finds a film crew that looks busy and goes, hey, you guys making a movie? Can I be in it? That's my Nick Cage impression. They actually, like, say what you will about Ghost Rider, it obviously made enough money. They made a sequel. What was it called? Spirit of Vengeance? I can't remember. Anyway, they're both as good as you think. In 2007, a very acclaimed movie comes out called No Country for Old Men, which I found boring as all hell. It's, who are the brothers that do this? Oh, the famous brothers. Oh, they've gone out of my... Oh! What the fuck's it? Oh, no, I'm not looking it up. I'm not looking... the Coen brothers. They do this, and it's the one where Javier Bardem has that weird haircut, which makes him super creepy, and he wanders around going, would you like to flip a coin? People love this movie. I turned it off. It was slow as all hell. What am I missing? Let me know in the Discord. What the hell did I miss? Should I go back and watch it? Was I too young to get it? No Country for Old Men. No time for me. Anyway, instead, I was watching Live Free or Die Hard, the fourth Die Hard movie. That's what it was called in other parts of the world. Where I watched it in New Zealand, it was released as Die Hard 4.0. Die Hard 4.0, I can say that properly, which I think is a better title. I know a lot of people hated this movie. I thought it was fine. I mean, like, I know what I'm watching. It's a Die Hard film. Come on. Yes, he's got a truck versus a fighter jet. Fuck it. It's a Die Hard film. Take it or leave it. And I took it. I haven't seen the fifth Die Hard. I know they did make a fifth one, which is called, this is what bugs me about it. I mean, as long as we're talking about titles like Live Free or Die Hard or Die Hard 4.0, they made a fifth one that's called A Good Day to Die Hard, which was the last one, and I cannot believe they did not go with the title Old Habits Die Hard. It's right there, people. It's right there. Fire your writers. Also in 2007, Death Proof comes out, which is the latest Quentin Tarantino film. Hated it. I hated it. Is Death Proof anyone's favorite Quentin Tarantino movie? I would doubt it. I would strongly doubt it. I mean, the cinematography's nice. The color palette's good, but I mean, it's slow. It's meandering. It feels at times like a homemade foot fetish porn video for Quentin Tarantino. It's this 2-part movie, or it's not 2 movies. It's essentially 2 mini movies starring a similar character. I mean, they give Zoe Bell this pointless monologue about New Zealand just because Quentin Tarantino was crushing on her. And the worst part about this movie is they waste this great character that Kurt Russell plays in it. He's the best thing in it by far. But the story is dog shit. I mean, the climax of the movie is there's a car chase, and then the girls get out of the car and beat the crap out of him. And then they cheer, and then roll credits. That's it. I really did not like this film. Like, they had the whole setup of, if you haven't... Fuck it, I'm going to ruin it, so if you don't want to hear it, spoilers, look ahead a minute. The whole point is, they had this group of girls that meet this guy who's a stunt driver, and he ends up killing them all when they ask him for a ride, or whatever, right? So, yeah, they're all going to go somewhere. Not all of them can fit in their car, so he gives one of them a ride, and he crashes into them and kills them all. Right? The setup is, this guy hunts girls to kill them with his car, right? That's the setup. That first setup takes half the fucking movie. Half the movie. So you build up all these characters that are just all going to die at the midpoint, and then you start again. And it feels like you're wasting my time here, Quentin Tarantino. Tell me again, am I missing something? Is there some sort of like philosophical, like, oh no, what you've missed here is like the beautiful connection you've created, and you can see the foreshadowing of it all happening again and the history repeating. No, I've just found it like a waste of time. Also in 2007, Shoot 'Em Up comes out, which is a film that asked, what if we just had a gunfight that lasted an hour and a half? And it kind of works. All right, sorry. By the way, I know my picks of what I'm liking and not what I'm not liking this year are making me sound shallow. Maybe I was just going through a shallow time. Maybe I'm just a shallow person. Let's look at the top 5 for 2007. At number 5, Transformers. Michael Bay's Transformers. The Transformers finally come onto the live screen, into live action, big screen. I am a huge Transformers fan. I couldn't wait for this movie. It was weird that we're going to see them on live screen. And I remember going to... I won tickets through a radio promotion to go to the movie premiere. And I went with my friend, Gareth, I think it was. And we're sitting there. It's a room full of Transformers huge fans run by this... the premiere's been run by this radio station. And before the movie... this girl from the radio station comes out and goes, hey, who's excited to see Transformers? And we're like, yes. And she goes, all right, before the movie starts, we're going to have a Transformers quiz. And everyone's like, fuck yeah. And she goes, who here thinks they're the biggest Transformers fan? And everyone's like, yes, we're all fucking nerds. We know everything about Transformers. And she goes, okay, let's find out. Question 1, name an Autobot. And... if you don't know anything about Transformers, that would have been like someone going, hey, who thinks they know most about superheroes? You like the MCU? Yeah, we're going to find who the biggest nerd is in this room. Question 1, name an Avenger. And she goes, name an Autobot. And I've never heard the air sucked out of a room by disappointment. Like, if you could just hear everyone's hearts drop and nothing else. Everyone's slunk down in their seats and just kind of like, oh, is this it? And she's just up there still looking around like, oh, is this... And I think in her head she might have been thinking, oh, have we pitched these questions too hard? No, and eventually one guy just reluctantly puts up his hand and just goes, in this tone, he just goes, Optimus Prime? And she goes, correct! Question 2. Name a Decepticon. And people groaned. Anyway, the movie, we watched the movie. It's a fun movie. Takes a long time for the Transformers to turn up. It's not a classic. I mean, it was fun to see them up there on the big screen, but the models were way too complex compared to the cartoon that we all got into. It just to the point where it didn't seem like there was any weight to them, to these models. The thing about Transformers was the movie. This is the first time I remember looking. Sorry, let me start that again. This is the first time I remember a movie being announced and the trailer being dropped on YouTube and going to YouTube to watch the trailer specifically. And just engaging with, looking at all the comments. Like, this is the first time I remember that a community, like a Transformers community, could come together, watch a trailer, and just all talk to each other and speculate and talk about this bit and like that in the comments. And at this point, it wasn't a shit show. It was actually just a community coming together and talking and, being excited. Of course, there were some dickheads in there, but that's the first time I remember doing this. Like, these days, everyone does it. The trailer drops on YouTube, everyone rushes in there to say, this is shit, because we're horrible people now. We don't deserve nice things. Anyway, moving on. At number 4 is Shrek the Third. I never saw it, never heard anyone talk about it. Is it the dud? Talking about duds and trilogies, at number 3, Spider-Man 3. Oh boy, Spider-Man 3. This thing fell off a cliff. Oh, I mean, it's still used in memes to this day to promote failure or like weirdness. You can talk about where this movie went wrong. A lot of points like too many villains or the retconning of the Uncle Ben's death or the CGI. But let's be honest, the real reason this movie, everyone hated it, is because no one could stomach emo Tobey Maguire when he went through his blackface. I mean, you tried to make him dance, Sam Raimi, and I know he was supposed to think he looks cool, and we know he isn't, but it went way too... It plummeted through the floor to the opposite end of the spectrum. And, like, I'm cringing a bit physically, just remembering it. I bet you are too. All right? Just, wow, imagine having that power of, like, okay, Tobey Maguire, we're going to make you kind of look intentionally bad, but then to, like, break through that to just absolute bad, to the point where everyone's like, ooh, stop, no, make it stop. That's why Spider-Man 3 sucked. At number 2, it was Harry Potter and the hors d'oeuvres of the Felix. Harry Potter nerds, whatever. I hope you enjoy your movies. Harry Potter nerds, one step away from Disney adults. Oh, by the way, I say Disney adult, and I'm a Disney adult, but not to, the ones I'm talking about are the ones that have made Disney, being a Disney adult, their personality. When they're like, they actually can't talk about anything else except Disney and how much they love Disney. And these people that'll be like, I'm a Disney adult, guilty. Just get a fucking personality. All right? Liking Disney is not a personality. Sort yourself out. Have a word with yourself. You can enjoy Disney and still have responsibilities and other things. Number 1, Pirates of the Caribbean at World's End. This is the third one? This is the third one in the installment. Like, I didn't watch after the first one. I loved the first one, but as soon as they brought out the second one, I could smell, I think they're going to ruin these. And then they brought out, like, how many did they end up doing? Like 6? And they all look exactly the same. And I think they were in the definition of diminishing returns. What a franchise bloat of a top 5. Especially when in 2007, there are so many great movies. Like, just things like Juno and Hero, which is that kung fu movie with Jet Li. It's beautiful. Even if you don't like kung fu movies, it's about the visuals of this movie. It's like they go through so many different color palettes, and it's gorgeous to watch. Put it on silent. Put it on in the background. I bet your eye is drawn to it. Right? Rec comes out like which is REC, like the 3 letters when you put on a record on a camcorder that shows it's recording. This was a low-budget Spanish found footage horror film set in Spain in an apartment building with zombies, and it's a zombie movie which is really contained because it's all the zombies are contained to an apartment building where people can't get out. Like, it's not we got to get to the other side of the city or or to the neighborhood, or it's just in an apartment building, and it builds, and it's really, really good. Check it out. But the movie of the year for me in 2007 is Hot Fuzz. Hot Fuzz is, God, this is a buddy cop action movie that parodies buddy cop action movies while being one of the best buddy cop action movies. It's set in a small British village as well, which is where you never get a buddy cop action movie. To me, it's Edgar Wright's best film. It's the writing, the editing is so tight. It's great. There's like not an ounce of fat on this movie. You've got the powerhouse pairing of Simon Pegg and Nick Frost. Everyone, and a stellar cast. Like, you'll recognize a lot of people in this cast. Everyone acts their part sincerely, which in turns makes it fucking hilarious. It is packed with jokes as well. That's a secret to, like, a really good comedy movie. Like, the actors, if you got a really good comedic actor, they act sincerely. Comedies fall apart when you can see actors, or sorry, not actors, when you can see characters trying to push for a joke. When you've got comedic actors playing characters that are doing things sincerely from their point of view, and the conflict with other actors playing comedic characters doing them sincerely from their point of view, that creates conflict, that's where you get good comedy. That's where you get great relationship comedy. Right? If you see a character like trying to ham it up, like the character, not the actor, that's a sign of a bad script or comedy or whatever. Everyone in this, you go back and watch it, everyone playing it, every role is sincere as hell. And it just escalates and escalates. And it goes from being this fish out of water movie to a murder mystery to an all-out action at the end. It is a perfect movie. If you have not watched it, my God, go watch it. I watched it in New Zealand and I enjoyed it. But it wasn't until after living in the UK, and I think you will appreciate it more if you live in the UK, that how nuanced it is. Like, you can enjoy it at a level, but then once you've lived here for a long time, oh my God, the nuts and bolts of this movie are ingrained with British culture. I don't think there'd be a British person that would watch this and go, oh no, that's not us. It's very good. Okay. Those were the songs, games, and movies of 2007. My favorite section, Times Person of the Year for 2007 is Vladimir Putin. So let it be known, if you do get selected to be Times Person of the Year, check yourself. You might be a cunt. Sorry, Dad. I know Dad listens to this sometimes. No other word for Vladimir Putin, really. Let's not get political. Personal things I remember in 2007. I was starting to do a lot of, like I said at the start, I was doing a lot of gigs. I'm going to tell you about one of the worst gigs I did. I was doing a lot of stand-up comedy at the time, and then I'll tell you one of the worst gigs I did. But I remember at the time I was doing stand-up comedy a little bit. I wasn't doing much in 2007. There wasn't a lot of comedy in Christchurch, a lot of stand-up. But Pauly Shore, the American comedian, if you remember Pauly Shore, he's the guy from Encino Man or California Man. He was a Wheeze in the Juice buddy. And he also did a movie called Son-in-Law and In the Army Now. And he was in Biodome. Anyway, he was this American comedian that was coming to Christchurch, and I got to open for him. I can't remember how I wrangled that. But I was going to be doing, 15, 20 minutes of stand-up before him. And it was... not many people turned up for it. Like, I think the theatre held about 300 or 400, and maybe about 150 turned up. And the thing I remember was, I was told by his people, when you're warming up in your comedy act, you're not allowed to do any sex jokes. No jokes about sex from you. And I remember thinking, okay. But also, the more I thought about it, I was like, why not? Like, do you think I might have a similar joke to you? And if you do, isn't that embarrassing for you? Because I've been doing comedy for I'm an amateur. I'm a nobody. You're the big headlining touring comedian from the US. And also, that just screams of insecurity. Now that I've been doing comedy for, professionally for a long time, it screams of insecurity to have someone go, you're not allowed to do any jokes about such a wide topic. Right? Like, I can understand if they were like, hey, I don't want any, jokes about something that I feel very strongly about. Like, I don't want any jokes about Christians or something like that. But to be like, no, you're not allowed to do jokes about sex. And it was clearly because, like, I want to do jokes about sex. It's, how insecure are you, Pauly Shore? Anyway, that was a bit lame. And when he turned up, he was like, why is no one here? And I was like, maybe because you're not famous enough? Is what I thought. I didn't tell him that. I remember saying, it's Anzac weekend, which is a long weekend. It's kind of like Memorial Day weekend. And I was like, oh, so maybe people have gone out and away? But I remember when he asked me that, I was like, I don't know, man. I think you do know. And you're just trying to ask me to help you feel better. Anyway, not super impressed with Pauly Shore. Yeah, and I am bagging you out on my podcast that no one's listened to. Okay, here's one of the worst gigs I ever did. Like I said, I had to cobble together money from a lot of different types of gigs to pay rent. All this time I was in New Zealand, I remember, I think I asked my parents for money once. I asked them for $700 once. But I was determined to pay rent and do it on my own because I knew that they were like very skeptical about me being able to do this. And the last thing I wanted to do was to keep asking them for money. I didn't ask anyone else for money. I managed to scrape things together. I don't know how I did it looking back because I was making fuck all. I was making so little money. And I got a call from the Court Jester's manager one day, the improv troupe where I worked, and that's how we got corporates through them as well. And they said, okay, I've got a weird guy. It's his daughter's birthday, and he's going to meet her in town today and take her on a riverboat punt. But he wants an actor to kind of, he wants like you to play this Latin Lothario character to come and give her a rose, right? And I was like, okay, I can do that. I am free this afternoon. So I should have, of course, this is going to end badly. I go down there and I meet the guy and he gives me the rose and he tells me like, it's his daughter's birthday. This is her name. This is what she's going to be wearing. And he goes, and I want you to just kind of like ask her out. Just tell her she looks beautiful. I want you to ask her out, okay? Just see if she will go on a date with you and just tell her she's beautiful. And I'm like, okay, all right. And then he goes and hides in the bushes. Literally, he goes and hides in the bushes next to where she's going to meet. And not like just round the corner, literally in the bushes. Okay, red flag. So the girl turns up to the place she's supposed to be meeting her dad, and I'm holding a rose, and I go, I can't remember what her name was, let's call her Hannah. And I go, oh, are you Hannah? And the first thing she says is, did my dad put you up to this? And I go, I don't know what you're talking about. No, what? And she goes, you can stop. You can just stop if you want. You don't have to do this, okay? I know my dad would have done this. He's crazy. Just, you don't have to, all right? Just, he always embarrasses me like this. And I sneak a look to the guy in the bushes, and he's just, it's almost like a bad comedy movie where he's just going to give me these gestures of like, go on, keep going. And I'm like, no, absolutely not. I've just got this rose for this beautiful girl like you. Oh, it's horrendous all round. And she's kind of putting her hand on top of my hand that's trying to give her the rose, going, no, please, you don't have to do this, please, right? To the point, right, where the guy, because we're meeting next to where she's going to get on the riverboat punt, right? To the point where the guy who's going to take them on the punt sees me talking to her and her putting her hand on my hand to stop me giving her the rose. He comes up to us and she says to him, is this guy bothering you? And that's when I went, I'm out. I'm done. And I walk around the corner and I'm just like, what the fuck? And the dad comes up to me and he's like, hey, what was that? And I'm like, no, that's, I did what you asked, and it just, she doesn't want it. She was telling me to stop, and then that guy was probably going to punch me. So yeah, that's it. We're done. And he goes, well, I shouldn't probably pay you for that. And I'm like, no, you're going to. And no, what did I say? I said, you could talk to my manager. I said, yeah, you are. You could talk to my manager. And I just walked off. And the worst part about it all, I was so humiliated. I was like, I think that's when I kind of made a thought of like, okay, I am going to vet future gigs, quote unquote gigs from now on. And the worst part about it all was the amount of money that I was getting paid for it was so embarrassingly low that I actually am not even going to tell you how much it was, because I, even now, can't believe I agreed to do it for that little money. And that is saying something. I needed the money. I just have to tell you, I needed the money. Rent was being shrimped together week to week. All right. I haven't had to do one of those in a very long time. Oh my God. Okay, look at the time on this podcast. Thank you so much. That was 2007. Oh boy. I just remembered that gig. Oh, horrendous. Oh, is this guy bothering you? Holy shit. It's a long road. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for listening. I'm going to be releasing my special soon on YouTube. So expect to hear things about that. If you're not signed up to my mailing list, go to javierharkeen.com and join the mailing list to get early access to that. Oh my God, is that my first proper plug on this podcast? Anyway, thank you so much, guys. Join the Discord discussion. I'd like you to. I'll catch you next time. Thank you. Bye.